Hello all, welcome to my channel, and today we are going to look at the 10 most probable question from the month of few days of July 2023 that could be reflecting in your upcoming UPSC prelims paper. Now it is time that you start revising the current affairs specifically, and we are going to do it from the month of July onwards and on a daily basis till the very near of your examination that is going to happen in the month of May 2024. Of course, we are going to cover all the important and probable questions that could reflect in your upcoming UPSC prelims. Also, I would suggest that if you're new to this channel, kindly share this particular video with as many students as possible so that we can work better on algorithms. Now, there are going to be many important questions that we are going to discuss. Keep one thing in mind that the PDF will be provided on my Telegram channel, so make sure you are a part of that as well. Other than this, take it as a visual test series only. We are going to solve 9 questions together that is completely based on the pattern of the UPSC examination. Thereafter, I will also give you one question at the very end that is going to be there for your practice examination. That means you have to comment the correct answer in the comment box. Also, do try to give your suggestions as well so that we can work better. So without any further delay, we are going to talk about the many questions that we are going to cover. First, let's look at this particular news, places in news and the question that is related to it. Nanterre, recently seen in the news, is situated in France, Italy, Spain, Denmark. While we were going through the slides, you may have noticed that I put a French map. And yes, Nanterre is in France. If you remember, a 17-year-old boy was shot by the French police. And because of that, not only in Nanterre, which is very near to Paris in France, but also in other places such as Lille, Lyon, Grenoble, and other places as well, mass protests were observed. So, anywhere where such kind of protests are observed, they can be asked in your UPSC examination because, of course, if you will ever become an IFS officer, it is expected of you to know these kind of things. So if you have answered France, very well. The correct answer would be France. Let's move on to the next question. With respect to the index of 8 core industries, which is also known as the ICI, consider the following statements. Petroleum and refinery production, followed by electricity generation and steel production, has the highest weightage in percentage. Because there are 8 core industries, we are going to look at the 8 many core industries of ICI. Okay, and we are also going to discuss the weightage that they have been given. ICI measures sectoral growth in India's economy. The core sectors account for about 40.9% of the index of industrial production. So, if we have to select the correct answer, it would be from these many options. See, the Office of Economic Advisor, the Office of Economic Advisor releases or publishes the report which is on index of 8 core industry. Do not confuse it with IIP. Okay, IIP is different. And also in the 8 core industries, actually this industry sector is being measured. So it is not the ICI that measures sectoral growth because ICI is only talking about, of course, industries. So it's a sector in itself. But index of industrial production talks about the many sectors such as mining, etc. So ICI doesn't measure sectoral growth. It is actually the IIP that makes the second statement to be incorrect. UPSC is going to confuse you by throwing such trick statements. Also, we have to keep in mind the 8 core industrial products actually formulate or get the 40.3% of weightage in the IIP. Here it is written 40.9%. So it is a kind of question that is a happy blend of not only fact but also concept. All right, other than this, petroleum and refinery production stands first, then it is followed by electricity generation, thereafter steel production. So there are 8 core industries, and in that we have to remember the Office of Economic Advisor, which comes under the Ministry of Commerce, actually publishes it, and it is published on a monthly basis. You have to remember that as well. All right, so I hope this much is clear. Let's move on to answer it correctly. First is correct, third is incorrect, second is incorrect because it should be IIP, Only one is correct. How many will be correct? One only, or only one will be the correct answer over here. As I told you, that petroleum and refinery production, it is at the top in terms of weightage in percentage. It is 28.04%. Thereafter, we have electricity generation, steel production, coal production, crude oil production, natural gas, cement, and then fertilizer production. Sometimes UPSC can also ask you the bottom three, or it can ask you arrange the following sectors or core industries in the order of weightage in the descending or ascending order. So you have to answer it from that perspective also. Moving on, with respect to the position of governor, consider the following statements. The dismissal of a minister by the governor without the advice of the chief minister is unconstitutional. That means governor may go against the constitution if he or she dismisses any minister without the advice of the chief minister. Now, this is according to Article 164. We are going to talk about Article 164 as well. B.R. Ambedkar had stated unambiguously in the Constituent Assembly that there is no executive function that a governor can perform independently under the IC, that is the Indian Constitution. Article 164 implies that the governor can appoint, remember, can appoint an individual minister according to his or her discretion. So, how many of the statements given above is or are correct? See, one thing we must be very clear with. Who is a governor? It's just a constitutional head. He or she is just or mere a constitutional head. That means they have to work in accordance with the will of the people eventually. And who exercises the will of the people? It is the Council of Ministers, be it at the state or be it at the state level, at the union level, right? Again, Article 164 has said very clearly that the governor can appoint the chief minister at his or her discretion. And that is also something we have to keep in mind, that it is according to the majority party rule, as in the governor may have a discretion, but eventually they will appoint a CM from the majority party, the party which has the majority number of support, major number of support by the people. So, yes, there is a discretion, but when it comes to appointing any minister, the minister shall be appointed by the governor on the advice of the chief minister. So, if the governor cannot appoint any individual minister without the agreement of the CM, they also cannot dismiss them. So that is very unconstitutional if they are going to do it. So first statement, the dismissal of a minister by the governor without the advice of the CM is unconstitutional. That is very correct. Article 164 implies that a governor can appoint an individual minister according to his discretion. Not at all, because see, 1 and 3 are kind of related. So here it should be cannot. So if you're able to point out that 164 is wrong, you will be able to point out that first is also wrong. Also, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar did say that there is no executive function that a governor can perform independently. That means without the advice of the Council of Ministers under the IC. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar knew that he or she is mere a constitutional head and they have to abide by the will of the people, which is exercised through the Council of Ministers. That makes the first statement to be completely correct, as in the dismissal of minister by the governor without the advice is unconstitutional. Third statement will be incorrect. Why? Because here it is written can, and second statement is definitely correct. So first is correct, second is correct, and third is incorrect. So how many will be correct? Two only will be the correct answer. Moving ahead, consider the following with respect to Uniform Civil Code. Uniform Civil Code is very much in the news, so I expect all of you to know much in detail about it, not only from the perspective of prelims but also from the perspective of mains. The UCC would come in the way of Article 25 to 28 of the Indian Constitution. The 21st Law Commission on UCC was not in favor of a uniform civil code. The framers of IC did not intend total uniformity or one law for the whole country. UCC, IC here means Indian Constitution. UCC would not be against the freedom of religion as IC, that is the Indian Constitution, allowed the government to make laws covering secular activities. So, how many statements given above are not correct? We have to look at the not correct part. So, if we talk about UCC, it is a Part 4 article. That means it is dealt with Article 44. It is a directive principle of state policy. So, what do you think? Is it enforceable in courts? No, it is not at all. It is not enforceable in courts. Remember that. That means if these articles are not implemented, anybody cannot move to the court and ask for their implementation. But we have to keep in mind that the Uniform Civil Code talks about a uniform civil code. We have a criminal code that is uniform throughout the country. But every religion in this country has their own personal laws. So, yes, if we talk about personal laws, it differs from Hindus to Muslims to Christians. It would be very interesting for you to know that even after the implementation of the Hindu Code Bill, many Hindus do not have the same kind of civil code. So, UCC actually, if it has to provide a uniform civil code, it will also amend or repeal many personal laws. And personal laws are exercised as a right to freedom kind of thing. So, whenever right to freedom of religion kind of thing, beg your pardon. So, if personal laws are infringed upon, then of course it will also come in the way of Article 25 to 28, which is the fundamental right, and Article 25 to 28 talks about the freedom of religion. So here many things would have to be known by you to answer about the first statement only, that UCC, what is UCC, and also Article 25 to 28, what is it? Then only you will be able to see if this statement is correct or not. The 21st Law Commission was not in favor of the Uniform Civil Code. That is definitely correct. Uniform Civil Code, for this, the 21st Law Commission said that the country is not ready. Country is not ready at all. But we have seen that Uttarakhand has done it. So it may be time for us to reflect on this. The framers of the Indian Constitution did not intend for a total uniformity. Why? Because, of course, they knew the pain of partition. They have seen a country being divided into two. Thereafter, we were also very aware of the fact the founders of the founders of India and the framers of the Indian Constitution were aware of the kind of diversity our country held. And that is why the framers said that we are not going to put a uniform law, although we do say that the state shall endeavor to provide a uniform civil code in the entire country. So we make it a DPSP. But we provide for personal laws. Personal laws are actually provided in the concurrent list. Okay, they are provided in the concurrent list. And that is why in any concurrent list, what happens? Any subject of the concurrent list, both the state and the union government can make laws, right? So that means if the states can make laws, then personal laws can differ from personal laws, and the laws the state has made on them can differ from state to state. So if the framers of the Indian Constitution did not want the personal laws to be in the the kind of uniformity that we are expecting right now in the entire country, if the framers did not want it, of course they have put it in the concurrent list. If they wanted it, then they would have put it in the union list, so that only the parliament can make a law uniformly for the entire country. UCC would not be against the freedom of religion. How? Because IC has also allowed the government, it is put in the concurrent list, right? So it has also opened a scope for the parliament to make laws. And we all know that if there is any sort of dispute on the law making of concurrent list, whose law prevails? The parliament's law prevails. So first is definitely correct, that UCC would come in the way. Second is also correct, because 21st Law Commission says that UCC was not right now, Uniform Civil Code, the country is not ready for it. The framers of the IC also did not intend total uniformity. This is also correct. How do we know this? Because they have put the personal laws in the concurrent list. UCC would not be against, again, this is also correct. So we had to see, first is correct, second is correct, right? Then third is correct, fourth is correct. So how many are not correct? Here I could also write none. Okay, so none is going to be the correct answer here. I have not put it, but none is going to be the correct answer because UCC would come in the way. Yes, Correct. Second is correct. Third is correct. Fourth is correct. All are actually correct. So we had to select not correct. None is the correct answer over here. Infrastructure, international relations. We have a very good question here. With respect to India, Myanmar, Thailand Trilateral Highway, consider the following statements. 70% of the India, Myanmar, Thailand Trilateral Highway is complete. It originated in 2009 as a part of the Look East policy. We have to see which of the statements given above is or are correct. See, with respect to India, Myanmar, Thailand Trilateral Highway, it came into existence as in it was proposed in the year 2002, and that was in Yangon. Okay, so that makes the second statement to be incorrect because it should be 2002. Yes, it is a part of the Look East policy. That is definitely correct. So UPSC can also give you part of questions like one statement has two parts and you have to point out which part is correct and which isn't. 70% of the work has already been done. So this is correct. First is correct, second is not correct. One only will be the correct answer. So India will be connected to Thailand. India's Moreh will be connected to Thailand's Mae Sot. And this is going to be happening via Myanmar. It is more than 1300, it is above 1300 kilometers long. And India has also proposed that this should also go to countries such as Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, so that it becomes a part of East-West Economic Corridor. So we have been very ambitious with this, but still 70% of the work has been done. Not a lot has been achieved as of yet. Moreh is actually an international kind of city. It is an international border city which lies very close to Myanmar. So remember. And right now, we all know that Myanmar is not well, as in it doesn't have any democratic government. So that makes India at a very, you can say, dilemma position. We have been in a dilemma since a very long period of time how we are going to coordinate with Myanmar. So yes, let's move on to the next question. With respect to bald eagle, consider the following statements. It is a sea eagle and so it commonly occurs inland along rivers and lakes. It is designated as least concern in the IUCN Red List. It is bald and has no hair on its head. I have also produced a picture of the bald eagle so that you can, of course, look at it and decide for yourself if it does have hair or feathers or not. How many of the statements given above is or are correct? See, bald eagle is interestingly solely an eagle that is solely native to North America, and it is also the national bird of USA, and it has been brought back from the brink of extinction right now. So national bird of the USA. If you have seen in many of the USA movies, they definitely put this as kind of a symbolism that it's a national bird of the USA. DDT, which has been used as a mosquito repellent and has been also passed down through the carcasses of dead animals, were eaten. These carcasses, when were eaten or consumed by the bald eagle, that could cause a lot of harm, and even it was lethal to such bald eagles. And bald eagles right now have been brought back from the brink of extinction, and they are now designated as least concern. And also it is a sea eagle, that means it feeds on fish, and that is why it is commonly found near rivers and lakes. So first is correct, second is also correct, but as you can see it has white feathers and is not bald at all. So that means it is not bald, it has white feathers, but it from a far away region it looks bald because of the whiteness of the feathers. So first is correct, second is also correct, third is incorrect. We had to select the correct ones, right? Two only will be the correct answer. Next is with respect to economy. With respect to central bank digital currency, consider the following statements. RBI Act 1934 has been amended to include the e-Rupee in banknote. Venezuela was one of the first countries to introduce its sand dollar CBDC officially. It is based on blockchain technology. We have to select the not correct statement. See, e-Rupee, if you have heard, it is nothing but a form of rupee in digital format. That means we use paper notes or coins. Now, when it is stored digitally, it becomes e-Rupee. Also, it works on blockchain technology, much like the cryptocurrency. But we know how our government feels about cryptocurrency. The government may not have banned cryptocurrency, but of course, at the same time, it is taxed heavily That is why it is a disincentive by the government of India to such private entities which deal in cryptocurrency. So, yes, it is based on blockchain technology, and e-Rupee is actually now a rupee in digital format. And RBI Act has been amended of 1934 to include them as banknotes. That means you can store them digitally. It is actually the Bahamas, not Venezuela. The Bahamas was one of the first countries to introduce its sand dollar CBDC officially. And there is one country by the name of El Salvador. El Salvador was the first country ever to make Bitcoin Bitcoin as a legal tender. That means it will be tracked by the government there. But we are tracking our e-rupee. E-rupee can be tracked, and it is a fiat currency, and it is going to be accepted in India and abroad as a backing by the RBI. So El Salvador was the first country to make Bitcoin as a legal tender. Remember that. First is correct, second is incorrect. It is the Bahamas who introduced sand dollar CBDC officially. And yes, e-rupee is based on blockchain technology. So what happens? First is correct, second is not correct, third is correct. We had to select the not correct one. Second will be not correct, one only will be the correct answer. The Polavaram irrigation project covers which of the following national parks? Periyar, Sanjay Gandhi, Bandipur, Papikonda. If you have heard about the Polavaram irrigation project, it covers states such as Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and Telangana. And according to the Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act, remember, Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act of 2014, it has been given the status of a national project. And because of this project, Konda Reddis, Konda Reddis and Koya tribe, they have been displaced. So you remember, Konda Reddis, they are actually a PVTG, particularly vulnerable tribal group. They have been losing their livelihoods because they have been displaced from this region. Even Koya tribes have been losing their region. One thing you have to keep in mind that this particular project is built on the Godavari River, and it is going to transfer the water amongst Godavari and Krishna River. Because it's a very important irrigation project, it is of course in line with our ambitions, but at the same time, as it is a national project and many tribes live alongside, so the Ministry of Tribal Affairs takes care of the rehabilitation of such tribes. Other important thing that we have to know over here, that it also covers the Papikonda National Park in Andhra Pradesh. That means it is very dangerous to the environment there as well. So yes, Papikonda National Park will be the correct answer. That is option D. Let's move on to our next question. With respect to critical minerals, choose the incorrect statement. These are essential for economic development and national security. A mineral is critical when the risk of supply shortage and associated economic impact is relatively higher than other raw materials. India released a report on 30 critical minerals. Tungsten and gold are critical minerals. So, yes, we have 30 critical minerals. The government has also released a report on this. And these are the kind of minerals which are important for the national security and the economic prosperity of any country. If suppose we are talking about lithium, if India is too much dependent on countries such as China, China can use this dependence as a weapon in case of any volatility between the two countries. So we have to ensure that if we want to be economically developed and also independent, we are going to take care of these critical minerals from our own land. So a mineral is critical when the risk of supply shortage and associated economic impact is going to be higher. Yes, we are talking about such critical minerals which are going to be used in Digital India, Make in India projects, manufacturing facilities, exporting facilities. So yes, first and second are correct. Also third is correct. Tungsten is a critical mineral that has been provided in the 30 list of 30 critical minerals, but gold is not. So you have to keep that in mind as well. So D will be the correct answer over here. The specific trigger for the efforts to identify the minerals that are critical for the country are India's international commitments towards reducing carbon emissions as well. Because if we are going to become very independent when it comes to different activities, even transportation, we are dependent on certain minerals so that we do not do carbon emission because of using coal. So for that as well, which require the country to urgently look at mineral requirement for energy transition and net zero commitment. India wants to become net zero by the year 2070. So you have to keep that in mind. I don't know what's wrong with the pen, but I'm trying my best. It's 2070. Okay, moving on. This is a list, as you can see, of critical minerals. You can go through it in the PDF. Moving on. This is a practice question for you. I mean, you will comment about it in the comment section. Please do that. Consider the following with respect to disqualification of MPs. In the Lily Thomas versus Union of India 2013, SC said that a lawmaker stands immediately disqualified on attracting a sentence of 2 years or more unless a higher court stays the conviction. Article 102 of the Indian Constitution talks about the disqualifications from membership. Article 8, Section 8, Subclause 3 of the RPA, that is 1951, let me put it across, calls for barring a person from contesting elections for 6 years, including the period of conviction, if she or he is convicted for 2 years or more under any offense. So we are going to see how many are correct. I will also solve this for you in the next day's revision. All right. So I hope you found this particular class interesting, and I do say that please, I request you, please share this video with as many people as possible. Thank you so much for watching. Do subscribe to my channel so that whenever anything of importance, not only from the perspective of prelims, mains, but a daily news analysis also has to be there. Please do subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much.